It didn't feel like a loss at first. It felt like a slow-burning humiliation, the kind that doesn't explode until you realize exactly what just happened and who it happened to. Because when the Steelers walked off that field after losing 13-6 to the Browns, it wasn't just a game slipping away. It was an entire narrative collapsing in real time. This wasn't supposed to be the night the Steelers lost control of the division. This wasn't supposed to be the night where Shedeur Sanders, of all people, becomes the quiet reason the Ravens suddenly look alive again. And yet here we are, staring at a reality where one team walked in with everything to lose and walked out exposed, while another team that supposedly had nothing to play for just rewrote the entire AFC North picture. That's what makes this moment so explosive. This wasn't chaos. This was consequence. And the most uncomfortable part is that the Steelers did it to themselves, while the Ravens, without even playing, somehow walked away as the biggest winners of the weekend. That's why this story hits so hard, because it forces you to confront something nobody in Pittsburgh wants to admit right now. This wasn't about Myles Garrett chasing a record. This wasn't about weather or luck or bad breaks. This was about fear, hesitation, and a team that lost its nerve at the exact moment it needed to be ruthless. Here's what happened, and why it's blowing up across the league. The Steelers had a chance to lock up the AFC North, a clean path, control your destiny, win and move on. Instead, they walk into Cleveland and play tight, conservative, and scared. The Browns, led by Shedeur Sanders, played loose, confident, and aggressive. And when the game was on the line, it was the Browns who looked like they believed, and the Steelers who looked like they were hoping something would save them. That's the context that makes Rex Ryan's reaction hit so hard. Because when Rex speaks, he doesn't sugarcoat failure, he dissects it. And what he saw wasn't a bad bounce or a fluke. It was a philosophical collapse. Before we go any further, if you're here for real breakdowns, real accountability, and real football conversations, make sure you're subscribed and drop a like. Because this story is about to get a lot deeper and a lot more uncomfortable for Steelers fans. From the opening snap, you could feel the tension. The Browns came out with nothing to lose. Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders looked composed, confident, and decisive. He was throwing on rhythm, attacking the middle of the field, and making veteran-level reads. That first quarter set the tone. Meanwhile, the Steelers looked like a team playing not to lose instead of playing to win. Every decision felt cautious. Every throw felt safe. Every call screamed, "Don't mess this up." And that mindset is exactly what gets you beat in the NFL. The entire game revolved around one obsession: keeping Myles Garrett from wrecking it. And yes, that's understandable. Garrett is a game wrecker. You don't want him blowing up your quarterback. But the problem is, the Steelers let that fear dictate everything. They weren't just protecting against Garrett, they were surrendering their own identity. Rex Ryan made it clear. This wasn't some unique game plan. This was fear disguised as strategy. The Steelers weren't trying to win, they were trying not to lose. And that's a fatal mistake. When you look at the tape, it becomes painfully obvious. The Steelers refused to put their rookie left tackle in true one-on-one situations. They slid protection constantly. They rushed throws. They shortened the field. And what that did was eliminate any chance for explosive plays. They willingly chose safety over aggression, and Cleveland gladly accepted the invitation. The Browns didn't need to dominate. They just needed to wait. And then came the moment that defined the game. 4th and 10. You're down, season on the line, and you choose to go for it. Not because you believe, but because you're out of options. And when that pass falls incomplete, it's not just a turnover on downs. It's a statement. It says, "We don't have an answer." And when the Browns kick that field goal to make it 13-6, the air leaves the building. Still, somehow, there's one last breath. One more chance. And this is where the story becomes almost cruel. Aaron Rodgers, with time winding down, delivers a perfect throw to the corner of the end zone. The ball is placed exactly where it needs to be, but the target isn't DK Metcalf. It's Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And that's the difference. That's the season. That's the entire night boiled down to one brutal truth. The Steelers didn't have their closer on the field. Rex Ryan didn't hesitate to say it. The absence of DK Metcalf was the game. You could see it in the formations. You could see it in the coverage. Cleveland ran the same defensive look over and over again because they knew the Steelers had no one who could win one-on-one. No separator, no threat that forced adjustment. Every play was static. 2-by-2 formations, man coverage, help inside, and the Steelers had no answer. They were asking receivers who simply aren't built for that role to beat elite coverage. That's not strategy. That's desperation. And here's where it gets even more brutal. This wasn't just about one game. This loss reshaped the entire division. Because while the Steelers were collapsing, the Ravens were quietly benefiting. Without lifting a finger, Baltimore suddenly finds itself in position to steal the division. That's why people are saying Shedeur Sanders saved the Ravens season. Because by beating Pittsburgh, he did what Baltimore couldn't do themselves in that moment. He cracked the door wide open. Rex Ryan made it clear that this wasn't some fluke. He pointed out that the Steelers' offensive philosophy completely broke down. They lined up the same way over and over again. Cleveland didn't even have to adjust. They sat in man coverage and waited. No motion, no creativity, no deception. Just predictable football. And in the NFL, predictable gets punished. What makes this sting even more is the context. The Steelers spent years trying to upgrade their receiver room. They finally land DK Metcalf. They ship out other pieces to make it work. And when the moment arrives where you need him the most, he's not there. Not because of injury, but because of circumstances that now feel catastrophic. And that absence ripples through everything. It changes play calling. It changes confidence. It changes outcomes. Meanwhile, Baltimore sits back and watches all of this unfold. The Ravens, who many assumed were in trouble, suddenly find themselves in control. Even with uncertainty at quarterback, even with Lamar Jackson's status up in the air, they hold leverage. Because now, they know exactly what Pittsburgh is. They know how to attack them. They know where the cracks are. Rex Ryan made another point that can't be ignored. Even if Lamar Jackson doesn't play, the Ravens have an identity. They can run the football. They can lean on their defense. They can shorten the game, and that formula travels. That's why this loss stings so badly for Pittsburgh. It handed momentum to a rival that thrives on chaos. And then there's the psychological damage. You don't just lose a game like this and move on. This one lingers. This one replays in your head. Every missed opportunity, every conservative call, every moment where you played not to lose instead of playing to win. Players feel that, coaches feel that, and opponents smell it. Rex said something subtle but devastating when he talked about how teams are terrified of being the ones who give up a historic moment. Nobody wanted to be the team that gave Garrett his record. And in trying so hard to avoid that headline, the Steelers created a worse one. They became the team that folded when it mattered most. And now here they are staring at a brutal reality, a division game looming, a rival with momentum, a fan base questioning everything, and a league that's no longer afraid of them. This wasn't just a loss. It was exposure. It showed that without their full arsenal, the Steelers don't dictate games. They react, they survive, and eventually they break. That's why this game will be remembered, not for the score, not for the stats, but for what it revealed. It showed that Shedeur Sanders didn't just win a game. He shifted the balance of power. He cracked open the door for Baltimore.